Hey guys, it's Glenn from glenscarcollection.com, and today we're going to be driving one of my favorite cars, the 2024 BMW X5m. If you remember, about a month ago I did a video on this car, just a short intro. I got this car as a BMW press car that I had for about 4 or 5 days, and first of all, it is actually gorgeous. It is in Santorini blue, which is a color you can choose on the new M3 and M4. It's an individual color here, so I forget it's like 5,000 or 6,000 for the color. Well worth it. Now, a lot of changes for 2024 for the X5M. You can only get the M now in competition, guys. No more base and competition. So the starting price is now $122,300. You got some new wheel choices for 2024 as well. You got updated tail lights. We'll see in a second. Slimmer headlights. New front bumper and grille. And as we said, there's the new front bumper and grille. Competition gives you everything blacked out in the front there. So you still have the same great engine that's in the M5, which is the 4.4 liter twin turbo V8, which in competition trim has 617 horsepower. If you remember, the regular X5M had 600 horsepower, so you get 17 horsepower more. 0 to 60 in about 3.7 seconds, and I can tell you seat of the pants actually felt faster than that. And you have the 8-speed torque converted automatic. They call it a sport automatic transmission with sport and manual shift modes. Now it's a torque converter automatic, so you'll see in the video shifting with it, and it does a good imitation like the M3, M4 of a dual clutch transmission, but it's not as good, say, upshifts and downshifts at higher RPMs that a dual clutch would be. But where this transmission shines after living it for a whole weekend and taking it all over with the family, it does very, very well in bumper-to-bumper traffic or around town. Now, this one also had the M Sport exhaust with the M sound control button, and of course, these are all-wheel drive. Beautiful shot of the engine there. It's one, I love V8 engines. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this car. There just happened to be a BMW Cars and Coffee locally while I had this car for the weekend. So I'm going to take this car to show it off there. We're going to see a lot of M cars at that show. And then when we're done with the show, we'll take this car, the X5M, out for a point of view drive like I always do in every video. So guys, remember to subscribe, hit that notification bell, like and share this video so my channel can grow. And as always, leave a comment below. Let me know what car I should review next. Should be another BMW or something else. Let me know in the comments below. Once I have enough comments asking for the car, so say it in every video, I can go to a dealer or manufacturer and ask for that car. Now we're sitting inside the BMW X5M competition. So the first thing we should do is let's start it up, get some air in here. It's getting hot. All right, so it sounds really, really good. Now, everything with this LCI update is like the M2 and the M3 we already reviewed. You have this double screen here. So what we're going to do is we can be inefficient if we want to, but we don't have to be. So we're going to probably drive around in sport. Driving around for chassis and steering and brake in sport is a little harsh, so I usually just do sport or sport plus engine and comfort everything else. You can go into four-wheel drive sport to hang the tail out a little bit, but you have to take the DSC off. So now this was already programmed with an efficient. You can program everything you want here, your settings into the M1 and M2 buttons. This has been pre-programmed. I can turn around it. It basically has everything efficient in M1 except for the sport that I like. And then the M2 button shuts everything off and basically makes this car, you know, no DSCs inactive, no nothing. So if you want to get crazy, then you can do that. But you can program whatever you want if you want it crazy or not crazy. We got massage seats here. They are not as good as in my Panamera Turbo. The menu, for some reason, only comes up when I do it from the passenger side, so maybe it's something I'm doing wrong on this side. It kind of feels like it just like moving like an air mattress from your back or your butt. So it's more probably to keep those things from falling asleep than to actually give you a type of massage. So I would say Porsche and Mercedes are better in that aspect, but that's not why you're buying an X5M competition, right? Real cool feature is you have heated and cooled cup holders, so I can make it hot or cold, and it really works. I had my water bottle in here, it kept it nice and cold. Let me put the air conditioning higher so we get less less air, less fan speed. Here you can kind of direct the version of the air here, which way you want it to go. You have hard buttons for your defroster, front and rear, and you have a wireless charger, which I think is standard. I think it was on the sticker as standard. The only issue is this is an IMAX 14. You have to take the case off for it to work, and then obviously you turn it the other way. You have, let's see, USB-Cs inside here, and you can fit some storage in there. What you want to do, since it's an M car, is go to this M mode button, and then you can drive in road or sport. If you drive in sport, it changes the gauges. So that's sport. And if we do it again, let's see, we're going to do M mode, and then we can do road. It just gives us, you know, regular gauges that we would see in a regular car. And then there's also a track mode that we can engage. You can go to setup, and now you could just scroll through anything. So if you want to do, check your tire pressures, if you want to do, I don't know, radio station, everything can be done from here. It has the backup assistant, so we can even back up if we were at a tight parking space. The Bowers & Wilkins sound system is worth every penny. It's like a $3,500 option. I would definitely get that. You got the dual pane sunroof here, and I would definitely get that. It's really, really good. Let's get out of the car for a second. You know what? We should shut it off. Let's get out of the car before so Bowers & Wilkins worth every penny. If I was speccing, I'd definitely get it. Back seat, I got the key in my pocket. It's definitely a 4-seater. It really is a 5-seater if you have somebody, maybe a preteen or something, and somebody that has short legs can fit here. Otherwise, I would probably use it as a 4-seater. You have your HVAC controls here, and with the executive package, you also get heated seats back here. So I'm 6 feet tall sitting behind myself. I have large feet. I can fit no problem. I can sit in this car for probably hours. You have a double pane sunroof here, and you also have a little cover that can go across the whole thing if you want to make it shadier, not so hot in the summertime. Big trunk, actually, and the trunk actually goes 2 different ways. You can press this open, opens the top part. You got a rear camera there, and then it actually, you can open the bottom as well. Seats fold down, so you have a huge trunk. And then the party trick here, well, you can put the cover over. The cover is really easy. Just follow the track, which I didn't do, but you could follow the track and bring it here. Now your belongings, I have my camera equipment, are totally covered. No problems there. And what I can do is I can close it individually, but why would you do that when you could just press the button here, and now if you watch, it'll do both. Because it's a real M car, not an M Sport, you have the 4 quad exhausts. What would probably be a nice add-on here is if you did a carbon fiber rear diffuser. With the LCI update, I believe all the X5s now are going to be competitions. I don't think there is a regular M. I think they're all competition. So now you get the 617 horsepower instead of the 600 horsepower. Going back on the inside, this is an optional interior, $3,500 with the full merino leather. So it's really nice. You even have it on the door pocket here. You have leather, and so everywhere you touch feels really nice. You have it on the dash here, nice leather heads-up display, which is shows you your speed. Now with the heads-up display, Bowers & Wilkins, you get an extra speaker there. What it doesn't show you on the heads-up display is it doesn't tell you you're in driver sport. So you're going regular drive, it'll shift for you. It's an 8-speed torque converter automatic, which does a very good imitation of a dual clutch transmission without the harshness of the dual clutch around town. Now, if you press it to the right again, it goes into sport, and now you could shift for yourself. The problem is, and it's not a problem, but when you look at the heads-up display, it won't tell you if you're in sport or drive, whether you have to shift for yourself or not. To get into reverse, you're gonna go up and to the left, and this car is equipped with a 360 camera, so you can do all kinds of assist here, all kinds of views, different cameras. If you want to the front, if you want to the rear, you can basically go through everything. So there's a rear view, you can go anything you want. Now, if you wanted to go from here, you could even do a car wash view. Why would you take your new BMW to a car wash? But you certainly can, and it'll show you what the tracks are. Then you have a parking view, you have everything here. Obviously, I'm not in between the lines, a typical BMW driver. Now, what we could do is right from there, we can go to the climate menu, and you do have to go, like for fan speed and stuff, you do have to kind of go here, but there is a touch screen, so what I can do is easily adjust the buttons here if it's hot and I want it to be cold. Now you can always go to a home button, and that'll give you, again, the screens that you can go through. It automatically, from what I've found having this car now for 2 days, is automatically start you out in sufficient. It has a strong exhaust noise on startup, and then I think it goes into efficient mode. So now we're in efficient. Drive around in sport. As you can see, it gets louder. Listen, quiet for efficient. See that rumble for sport, and let's go to Sport Plus. It doesn't seem any louder than sport, but you're going to have a much twitchier throttle, and I guess more exciting for the open road, not as good around town. Now you could go into media. It's wireless. You have satellite radio, and you also have the Bluetooth is wireless. It's not like the older cars we had to plug it in. Everything is wireless. Then you have a good map and everything. So everything is really great in this car. I can't wait to drive it. So what we're going to do is we're going to drive first to this BMW Cars and Coffee, and then we'll take it through some back roads and see how she handles. All right, let's take it for a little spin. Right now we're driving in manual mode with sport for the engine and comfort everywhere else, and we'll play around with those settings. We got a little underpass here, so let's see how this car sounds. Ready? Sounds good. Sounds pretty good for a V8 twin turbo. I love the pulling power of the turbos. It's addicting on any turbocharged car, but the downside to that is it sounds like a vacuum when you go under an underpass like that. It sounds like a vacuum cleaner, but this actually sounds pretty good. I'm sure the sound has some enhancements to it. All right, so let's take up some of my favorite roads that I drive on my other cars. Now these are gonna have tighter turns. Of course, this is a very heavy car. And in order to make a big, heavy car that's high up, so first thing, driving position, I feel like I'm driving a bus. Even compared to an M5, I feel like I'm sitting at least a foot higher. Now, in order to make an X5M, which is an SUV version of the M5, handle, they really got to make the suspension stiff. So driving, this feels much stiffer to me, and I'm not 100% sure it is, but I'm pretty sure that it is stiffer than an M5 competition, because I've driven M5 comps. You've seen my videos on these same roads, and it doesn't feel as stiff as this car. So that's something to consider if you want a softer ride and you're not, I don't think you're going to track a car this heavy, or certainly an SUV, so maybe the M5 comp is better, or just a plain M5 without the comp, because it would have a softer suspension. But we like extremes here on this channel, so we want the most enthusiastic version of this car, which would be this. Let this person go in the Lexus. Now, I even give you your horsepower and torque put out there. So we didn't need the whole 617 horsepower. We had about 380 horsepower coming out of that turn and about 480 foot-pounds of torque. 617, I believe, is the max horsepower for the competition version, and I believe it's 553 foot-pounds of torque. All right, so now we're in sport and comfort chassis. Let's go into sport chassis. Now, immediately we feel a little tighter and probably a little bouncier because these aren't the smoothest roads in the world. I would say these roads are pretty uneven. So I'm probably going to take it back to the comfort level, but on the steering I'm going to put sport. So now the steering is tightened up. It's electric steering, but you can feel it feels tighter and more heft to it than it did previously. Oh, look at that. An old Porsche. Wow. Now we'll try, as we get to turns up here, we'll try in the sport brake. So one thing I noticed in this car, compared to the M5, or certainly compared to any of my cars that are low to the ground, say like the NSX, is the sensation of speed. So you feel like you're going slow. I'm going the speed limit here, which is 40 miles an hour. I feel like I'm going 25. And I think one of the reasons is we're just higher up. We have less of a sensation of speed here. When I'm in my S2000 on these same roads, going 40, I feel like I'm going fast. All right, so let's gonna go to sport brakes here. So we have sport steering and sport brake. We're doing the downshifts manually, so we'll do the downshift. We haven't needed to touch the brake yet. We'll do sport chassis. We're gonna come up to some curvy roads that I drive all my cars on. So we'll see how this handles those roads because some of the turns are pretty tight. So here we have a little crest here to a right-hander. And that would have been a good spot there for the sport chassis. We have huge monster brakes on this car. Downshift there that we did manually. Now it's an 8-speed automatic. And I'll try to get to 7th and 8th gear as quickly as possible. I noticed there's a big gas mileage difference when I drive this car manually to when I let it shift for itself, right? Because it's always going to go to the optimal gear, especially if you drive in efficient mode. All right, so we're going to do sport chassis here. So we're going to essentially do sport everything. And you know what? Let's do sport plus for the engine. But I think sport plus for the chassis would probably be too stiff, but let's try the sport session first. All right. All right. Now we're going to go through some tighter turns, which probably aren't SUV friendly. But this car really has like no body roll. And how are they doing that? Well, they're making the suspension pretty stiff. But as you can see, we're going to the turns. Like my S2000 would have body roll there. This weighs at least twice as much and really doesn't have any. I gotta fix this mirror here. Going to downshift. Here's going to be a bunch of tight turns. And again, if you want to go into tight turns, you're going to get a more nimbler car. If you want a BMW, you're probably going to get a Z4 or an older, like an E46 M3. So this is not going to be your first choice. But if you want it to be a daily driver and have some fun as well, I think this would be an excellent choice. Now you're going to have to sacrifice something, right? So A, it's going to be really expensive for a V8 twin turbo, and then gas mods. That's something you might not think of. Now traction control really cuts in this car, and this is besides the height of the driving position and the height of the car. One thing I noticed this, and I didn't get this on an M5 unless there's a way to dial this back, and I'm in sport and sport plus mode, is that the traction control comes on anytime I try to accelerate. So maybe to keep this car stable, it needs to do that. But I have plenty of videos on the channel of me driving regular F90 M5s and competition versions, and there is no problem putting the power down anywhere. I noticed this morning going to a BMW Cars and Coffee, that, you know, I couldn't get that acceleration coming on the acceleration lane in the highway. It was actually the traction control was coming on. But then some spots like there, I can kind of put the pedal to the metal and no problem. So I'm not sure, you know, I guess I'm going to have to feather the throttle in a couple spots when that traction control comes on. The problem is when the traction control comes on, there's like a couple seconds before it'll go off again. So you can't really just react to it. You have to just make sure it doesn't come on. Now, back in the day when I was a young kid driving my E46 M3, I was surprised, like on a quick 1 to 2 shift, the traction control was coming on. But now I'm like, totally different. We got almost double the horsepower here, 617 instead of 333. Not quite double, but significantly more. And I noticed that there's a big difference here as far as putting down the power. All right, so we'll take those roads back again. We'll play with the settings a little bit. We're gonna dial it down because we're gonna down to sport here. And sport brakes, it just feels like a stiffer brake pedal. I don't know. Same thing with steering. So I'm gonna try those now in comfort for all those and see if it makes a difference. I mean, if you're really bombing up a back road with your friends and you're gonna spend quite a bit of time doing it, quite a bit of turns, I would probably put sport chassis and the steering and brake and everything into that sport mode. If you're just, you know, have a couple of turns on your commute, I probably wouldn't do that. I do like driving this car manually. I think it upshifts, which it should. Upshifts a lot like it is right now, so we have to go to the right to put it in sport, where now we have to use the paddle shifters. You could always override it, so I can just override it this way, but it's not as, I'm not in full control because it'll upshift the first chance it gets. See, it's starting out, doing a second gear start now if I'm in the auto mode. If I'm in the sport mode, I believe it will downshift to first. So I'm going to put it in sport now. The D goes away. That means we're in sport. Our heads-up display shows us a tachometer, speed, and what gear we're in. I don't know if that's going to come out, but it's coming up from here, projected on the windshield. And now let's see, I'm going to downshift from third, downshift to second. And now when I come to a complete stop, I believe in this sport mode, it's going to put us to first. So let's see. Yep. Where in the other mode, we were having second gear starts to be more efficient. Now, if you own this car and you don't want to get 12 miles to the gallon, I think the EPA rating is 15 in the city. I'm sorry, 15 average. So I think it's more like 13 in the city and maybe, you know, 18 or something on the highway. I know the average on the window sticker was 15. Now, really, you have the most powerful car on the road. So since we've been driving, and now we're going to go back, we haven't seen another car, SUV, or truck with 617 horsepower, right? Nope, we have not. So you really have the most powerful SUV on the road, realistically. All right, oh no, he's taking our way. All right, so the ride is stiff, but it's not crazy stiff. So I believe, and I haven't driven an M5 competition back to back, it does feel stiffer to me than the M5 competition. Because in 2021, they softened the ride on the M5 competition, and it was almost the perfect car. I came very close to buying one. If you buy a earlier one, like an 18-19 comp, 2020 comp M5, you see that the comp version has a real stiff suspension compared to the regular version. But in 2021, they softened it and really made the perfect car. They did some tweaks in the suspension, the steering, and I think that's probably the one to get. In this car, it is stiff. It's definitely stiffer than my Panamera Turbo as a daily driver. All right, so let's put in efficient. Now we've calmed everything down. We've made it quieter. What I'd like to do is one highway acceleration for you guys. I love the shift paddles on here. They're carbon fiber, and they really have some heft to them. Unfortunately, we're going to have to follow this car. So what can we do? I'm filming this on a Saturday afternoon. You can't escape it. So what we're going to do is get on one exit on the highway here and then take another back road with a lot of turns. But it is fun to drive. I mean, since I got this car, I'm looking for excuses to drive it. All right, we will merge on the highway. Now, the traction control is very intrusive that we're going to actually have to kind of feather the throttle. That's how powerful this car is. All right. So we'll wait for the road to clear. All right, now watch. See, there we were able to do it because we didn't put the hammer down. If we put the hammer down, car wouldn't go anywhere. Traction control would just cut the power. And I don't remember the M5 doing that, so I'm just going to chalk it up to, I don't know, the way the chassis is tuned on this one, that it just is saving you from yourself. Because this is not my car, and on public roads, I'm not going to shut off all the nannies. But you have a ton of acceleration here, a ton. Thanks again for watching. If you have the means, definitely get the 2024 BMW X5m LCI Update Competition. Well worth it with its V8 twin turbo, 617 horsepower, in this beautiful $5,000 option, individual BMW color of Santorini blue. Now you can get this on the M3, M4. Oh, cool, deer. They're out a little early today. You could get this on the M3, M4, which I would highly recommend. I would probably get it. I like Isle of Man green on this, and if you watch some of the other press cars, there's actually an urban green and if X5M, and if you remember the urban green from the M4 competition convertible I tested last fall. All right, guys, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Full-length video every Monday at 7 a.m. Eastern. And then we have shorts Tuesday through Friday, so make sure to hit the notification bell or you'll miss all those shorts. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time.